Of course, sports action will be there no matter what. Just to mention, in track and field, the ongoing meeting of the Diamond League today in Paris, followed by the one of Eugene on Independence Day here in the United States. The first previews for the boot camp of the NFL for the next season already. The regular season at the level of the MLB. The championship at Wimbledon starting Monday, and the Tour de France that will start also on the United States Independence Day. You can add to that, of course, the excitement of the Formula One season, the motorcycle Grand Prix as well, etc. And even in soccer, I mean, there are ever events that are ongoing right now. The UEFA Under 19 Euros for men and women starting right now. The OFC Under 19 Men's Championship that will start as well very soon next week. At the club level as well, with the UEFA Euro Cup's first round, the Q1, that starts also on July the 7th, the preseason starting on July the 11th, the MLS resuming on July the 16th, the NWSL resuming on July the 4th, Independence Day as well, and of course domestic action ongoing as well at the level of Morocco. So all this is good, but nothing could be compared, of course, to the magic that the FIFA World Cup gives us. And this magic that you feel only every 4 years, especially at this moment, at the aftermath of the group stage. And ever since I've been covering this event from 1990 to present, this will be actually my 10th edition. There is always a heat of excitement when it comes to the epilogue of match day 3, knowing that the best is yet to come. You agree with me on that? So I want to get back first of all in the beginning of the video to speak a little bit about the appreciation and the first things to say about the group stage following, like I said, its conclusion yesterday. We start with Group A to notice that Mexico has made it clear that having 3 victories and 3 games makes L3 one of the contenders, especially that the team has been waiting for a moment to make finally 3 victories in 3 games during the group stage. Now here it is achieved in this edition. South Africa made history by qualifying to the second round for the first time in its history, following an amazing goal against South Korea, a goal of Maseko. And South Korea, unfortunately, will leave the tournament from the group stage. So a lot of things has to be reviewed for the great Asian countries that have always been regular in this competition. Czech Republic, former runner-up, as I said, in 1934 and 1962, gets out with deception from this tournament, and only with 1 point, and a disappointing competition for the friends of Czech. In Group B, logic to see Switzerland topping the group. The Swiss made it to the second round now for the 4th time in a row, always there since 2014. Canada realized finally their dream by making it to the second round for the very first time in history, becoming therefore the 5th CONCACAF nation to do so. And Bosnia and Herzegovina, led by their veterans Checo, following a victory over Qatar 3-1 in Seattle, were able to make it for the first time in history to the second round. Now, if we speak about Qatar, of course, it's better than the 2022 edition because they got their first points, but so many things have still to be worked on in order to compete concretely for making it to the second round of the FIFA World Cup. In Group C, Brazil top stinks. The Seleção, no issue against Scotland in the third game. A double from Vinicius and a goal from Cunha makes them clear to the next round. Morocco, as I said, had the best attack performance in a group stage phase with 6 goals following their victory over Haiti. Continues the trip and the third appearance of Morocco, as I said, on the second round starts. Unfortunately for Scotland, like in Group A for the Republic of Korea, another third place team that is not able to make it out of the group stage, and the damnation of Scotland in failing to making it to the second round at the FIFA World Cup continues. Haiti did their best and unfortunately they get off with 0 points, but for the Caribbean nation it is already the best appearance compared to the one of 1974 by really standing strong in all the 3 games and showing that they are not a minnow of the competition. As of Group D, the third host, the United States, makes it without forcing. The United States limited during the third game, conceding it to Turkey 2-3. We have to say that a lot of things has to be previewed now as we're getting to the knockout phase. Australia makes it to the knockout phase as the runner-up of the group following a tight game with Paraguay 0-0, and basically this is the third appearance of Australia in the second round of the FIFA World Cup. Paraguay gets back there as one of the best thirds after that tie, as I said, and of course the team is building up gradually ever since the qualifiers of the Cotton Bowl after an absence of 16 years. Unfortunately for Turkey, another European side, like I mentioned, the Czech earlier, and the Scots, valiant fight against the United States, 3-2 victory of the friends of Arda Güler, but it came a little bit at the end, very late. The team was already eliminated. In Group E, I would say that the Mannschaft did the same as the United States, 2 victories during the first 2 games. Then they try to make the minimum during the third game. Their first loss against a South American country at the FIFA World Cup against Ecuador do not prevent them from staying on the top of the group, only by goal average ahead of Ivory Coast that made it with 6 points following the double of Pepe against Curacao, the first time the Elephants are going to play in the second round of the FIFA World Cup. And Ecuador gets back there for the second time as a best third as well, following, like I said, the historic win versus Germany, and everything is to follow up for the friends of Ener Valencia. Curacao, like Haiti, honored the Caribbean zone, and we will always remember the tie they had with Ecuador in match day 2. In Group F, the Dutch were on top of business, concluding their last game a 3-1 victory against Tunisia. Like I said, the serious stuff is upcoming right now. Japan notably made the largest victory of an Asian country in the history of the FIFA World Cup against Tunisia, 4-0 in match day 2. They tied with the Swedes in order to get to the second round once again for the 5th time in their history, and the 3rd time in a row, 2018, 2022, 2026. Sweden gets back here following a decisive effort as a best third. And Tunisia, what can I say? A lot of things has to be reviewed. The team was not really on its shape during its trip and fails again to make it to the second round. In Group G, sorry, the Red Devils did not have any problems. Belgium tops the group at the very edge of Egypt following their win against New Zealand 5-1. The friends of Trossard, De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku must show better during the second round. Egypt makes it to the second round for the very first time in history. What a combativity during the last game against Iran. I believe you witnessed that thriller that happened again at the Lumen Field in Seattle, especially during the last minute. The men of Hassan Hassan did not give it up, and they are now among the Africans that made it to the second round. Iran, as I said, unfortunately for them, ended up as one of the thirds that did not make it to the second round, failing to do so for the seventh time in their appearances in the finals. New Zealand honored the OFC zone. It is true that the real victory for the OFC was to have one direct spot to the finals, which is the case and the reality of the new FIFA World Cup right now. And New Zealand fought to their best, tying with Iran and playing with no complex in their other games. It's a little bit less than the performance of 2010 in South Africa, but still there is some optimism in the game that was played. The OFC remains the only zone that have not basically hosted the tournament, and there are speculation about getting onto a trans-Pacific bid with the United States in 2038, a bid of the United States and New Zealand. In Group H, Spain finishes up logically on top after a win in Zapopan against Uruguay, a goal of Baena. Cape Verde, as I said, the great achievement for the country. The third smallest country, behind them only Iceland and Curacao, made it to the finals, and here they are, staying as a giant with the giants and making it after 3 draws in 3 games, notably with Spain, Uruguay, and then almost beating Saudi Arabia. So congratulations to the Blue Sharks. Uruguay, former world champion, did not make it. I gotta say, maybe Uruguay pays the price of not having any friendly internationals before warming up to the tournament late May, early June. And here it is. You can say from the body language of their coach Bielsa, the behavior of the player, that the team was not on its shape during these finals. Very disappointing for the world champions of 1930 and 1950. Saudi Arabia once again had their chances. They finished on the bottom of the group with 2 points, but like Qatar, here we notice that there is a very big gap despite the development of their leagues at the level of the national teams of the region. And Saudi Arabia have only to blame themselves after a disappointing draw with Cape Verde. It is true that the team is ongoing rebuilding, but it's true that they made better in 2018 by getting 3 points, and in 2022 by also winning a game. but now they finish only with 2 draws and a defeat. They continue building ahead of the AFC Asian Cup 2027 that they will host, the 2030 qualifiers, and of course of the FIFA World Cup that is planned to take place in their land in 2034. France logically finishes like Mexico on top of things with 9 points. It is actually the best side of this group stage. 3 victories, no complex, 10 goal scores, only 2 conceded, the best attack as well, along with Germany and the Netherlands. And what a showdown here from Mbappe and Dembele at an individual level. Norway, with no complex, is back to the second round for the second time in their history. The first time was in 1998, limiting a little bit during the third game, defeat against France, but hey, they made the essential and now they have to focus on what's coming next. And Senegal made it tightly at the very end thanks to an amazing victory against Iraq, which remains the largest victory of an African side at the FIFA World Cup to date. 5-0, the friends of Pape Gueye ensured their qualification to the second round for the third time in history in Toronto. Iraq lives with a bitter deception. Of course, the team still had basically to improve a lot of things. The appearance of Iraq 4 years ago in 1986 was a little bit better in terms of goal average, despite the 3 defeats back then as well. But like I said, Iraq has come back to the reality of the FIFA World Cup after a thrilling qualifying campaign that ended up in Mexico only last March following their historic win against Bolivia, and they played also with no complex in this tournament. A lot to learn as well for them. In Group J, Argentina, top of things like France and Mexico, 9 points, no complex here. Messi on top of things, already 6 goals at this FIFA World Cup. I'll get back furthermore to speak about the individual achievements in an upcoming video. Austria and Algeria, of course, everybody witnessed the thriller of last night. Austria and Sabitzer made it to the second round for the first time since 1982, a time where they have surpassed Algeria in their groups. And guess what? Algeria makes it right now. At the very last minute, they were leading 3-2 before getting joined by Austria once again at the very last seconds of the game. It makes it already a game that will be remembered in the history of the group stage of the FIFA World Cup. Jordan, another team from the Middle East like Iraq, that exits with 0 points, but no complex here because first appearance, a great performance was shown by Al Nashamas. We have seen how combative they have been in the third game against Argentina. For Group K, Colombia almost edged to get 9 points and join Mexico, France, and Argentina, but the goal was disallowed at the very end against Portugal. They top the group nevertheless and make it to the second round for the fourth time in their history. Portugal, a lot of questions here against like Belgium, 1 win and 2 draws, so we are still expecting a lot of things from the teammates of Cristiano Ronaldo starting the last 32 round. And finally, historic victory in Atlanta of the DRC thanks to Wissa, who scored twice, and Mayele against Uzbekistan. They finally made it for the very first time in their history to the second round. And Uzbekistan finishes up with 0 points, but what a learning for the Central Asian country for their first appearance at the World Cup. And finally, the excitement of the group stage wrapped up with the Group L and England finishing on top. Again, almost all the teams that were expected to finished first. Harry Kane scoring even his 11th game against Panama in East Rutherford. 7 points for the Three Lions. Croatia got back in time and won against Ghana 2-1 to make it second during the 201st cap of Modric that is ongoing onto a race with Cristiano and Messi in breaking the record of appearances with the national team throughout these finals as well. Ghana makes it again the ninth side on this list from Africa to make it to the second round as one of the third best finishers. Panama ended up with 0 points, but it's a little bit better goal average wise than their first appearance in 2018 in Russia. So who thinks that there should be a day off right after group stage, especially after match day 3, where you have all these excitements, many games played at the same time in each group, and of course the beginning of the drawing of the brackets of the knockout round, as well as calculating all the best third, which is basically a specificity when you have a format of 48 teams, and that's what you had before in a format on 24 teams in 1986, 1990 and 1994, only with the double of the teams this time. So if we look furthermore here at the tournaments and what it has provided us in terms of excitement, over 200 goals, 205 to be precise. It's one edition that is set to break one record after the other. I want to get back here to mention a little bit the ranking. Iran finishes on the 33rd spot. Like I said, a lot of disappointment here, especially for a team that have been trying to get to the second round in 7 editions. Now they have to turn their focus on the next AFC Asian Cup. 31st was another Asian side, the Republic of Korea. Very big disappointment after playing the second round 3 times. 35th is Turkey, waking up a little bit late in the tournament, and again the project continues ahead of them, hosting the Euro 2032. But of course many things were expected better to come from Turkey. On the 36th position we had Scotland. So here shows again that this tournament has been tough for some European side. Like around, Scotland continues their quest to make it to the second round, and the next objective for them will be of course the UEFA Euro 2028 that they will co-host. Uruguay, as I mentioned, the disappointment here for the world champions, finishing at the 37th position. Saudi Arabia right after that, as I mentioned, they have a lot to work on, starting with the AFC Asian Cup that is upcoming next winter. In 39th position, New Zealand. Again, a lot of cheers for the UFC that is coming strong to the FIFA World Cup. 40th place, the Czech Republic. A lot of things to review here as well. 41st, Qatar. Focus on the AFC Asian Cup to defend their title right now, and again Qatar has to improve many things to compete at the level of the group stage of the FIFA World Cup in order to make it one day for the very first time to the second round. In 42nd, we have Curacao. That's really a very, very great tournament to cheer for the Caribbean nation. As I said before, the men of Vocat show to the world that they have no complex when it comes to the big tournaments after their performance here. 43rd, Panama, the representative of Central America, and here again, outside of USA, Mexico, and Canada, the third country of the CONCACAF that exits this tournament. 44th, Jordan, a lot of learning here, as I said, for the runner-up of the AFC Asian Cup. Another AFC Asian Cup is coming soon in Saudi Arabia, and a lot of memories to cheer from the North American historic campaign this summer. In 45th, we had Uzbekistan. Like I said, no complex here for another Asian team. And in 47th, Tunisia. A lot of disappointment here, but to get back, Tunisia unfortunately was not fit for this tournament, to be honest with you. It has shown flaws in the tournaments, in the results. I was expecting more from the physical preparation of Tunisia to show up during this tournament. It was not the case. And yeah, the first time that Tunisia exits the FIFA World Cup with 0 points. And Iraq finishes at 48, and as I said, a lot of learning as well for them after an absence of 40 years. So here it is. Those are the teams that did not make it to the second round. If we want to analyze things in order to see the evolution, of course, everything is fluctuation in terms of history from 1930 to present by looking at the number of points by confederation, by match day, and in the group stage overall compared to the other edition. We can say that Europe and South America went on top of things as usual, which is a logical aspect. Of course, you've noticed that European and South American side exited the tournament as well in the group phase, some of them. CONCACAF, only the three hosts made it, but it's already the core record with the 2014 edition. In CAF, as I mentioned, there are 9 teams. And what a performance in terms of point scoring. Here it's a record for Africa. The African teams had 40 points during the group stage, which is by far the best performance in the group stage. The second best was actually achieved in Qatar 4 years ago with 24 points, but hey, we moved from 32 teams to 48. Disappointment, very big disappointment for the AFC countries, no question about it. Japan and Australia are the only teams that made it to the second round. In terms of point scoring, Qatar 22 was even better with 6 teams playing 22 points versus only 18 points with 9 teams involved in the tournaments in 2026. So of course there is maybe a gap that shows again to the OFC as well, with New Zealand exiting, a gap that shows between the majority of the CONCACAF outside of USA, Canada, Mexico, the majority of the AFC outside Japan, Australia, even the Republic of Korea, even if they did not make it, and with the OFC as well, compared to the UEFA, the CONMEBOL, the CAF, the 3 teams I mentioned in the CONCACAF, the 3 teams I mentioned in the AFC. But the gap is getting closer and closer. Remember what I said almost 4 years ago. In Qatar, we have witnessed maybe back then the best group phase, then the best finals in history. because of how near things have become between the teams. And that starts even from the qualifiers, as I said before. There is pretty much no difference between the level of the countries that play. So you have that tight competition that you see on the qualifiers and even higher at the group stage, almost at the same level. And what we've seen in North America has just surpassed even the excitement that we have seen in Qatar in 2022. This is by far the best group stage that was played in the FIFA World Cup. We have to understand that we are indeed entering a new reality, because historically the second round era was perceived before for the first half century of the FIFA World Cup, the first 50 years. From 1930 to 1978, I stretched it to the 50 years celebration, the unofficial tournament in 1980, just to round it to 50 years. So from 1930 to 1978, the second round exiting the group stage was perceived as the top 8, the quarterfinals, or the top 8 in 74 and 78, except in 1930 and 1950, where things were even harder, where only the winner of each group could make it to the second round and therefore reaching the top 4 directly, semifinals or final round, respectively, in 1930 and 1950. Then we move to another second round reality that started with basically growing the tournament to 24 teams, first of all with 12 teams in 1982, then to a reality that we have witnessed from 1986 to 2022, by having 16 teams, starting from the last 16 after the group stage. And now we are just entering a new reality of the history of the FIFA World Cup, with a second round that will feature 32 teams. And we are witnessing this live. It's been historic. And we have to basically assimilate it on the analysis. Of course, the competition has basically developed so much ever since 1930, and very important to have a comprehensive analysis per era and per edition. So the last 32 are kicking off today with South Africa and Canada in the Sophie Stadium already, and here also what an excitement. 16 games are going to follow up in this decisive moment of the tournament. South Africa will try to reach the last 16 and the top 16 for the very first time in history. Same thing for Canada and the friends of Crépeau and the Fougerolles, who are trying to make it as well for the best tournament ever after succeeding at home. With all cheers with both countries in this opener of the second round. Tomorrow we will see Brazil facing Japan. It's very tough game for the Samurai Blue, as they have to face the Celesa already in the first game of the second round. Brazil stays favorites on paper, but like I said, everything is going to be exciting in Houston for this one. Germany will face Paraguay. Of course, the Mannschaft has limited during the first group stage, but again using its traditional realism to make it at this point of the tournament. Now they have to show basically if they will make it to the last 16 finally for the very first time, believe it or not, in 12 years, against a very motivated Paraguayan side that has nothing to lose and that is playing ahead also of the FIFA World Cup 2030 that they will co-host, or at least be one of the co-hosts of the centenary celebration, along with Argentina and Uruguay, before the tournament moves to the continuity of the group stage in Spain, Portugal and Morocco. Paraguay made it before to the quarterfinals in 2010. It was their best appearances. Other than that, they have been onto the last 16 and in 1986 and 1998, 2002, and to the top 16 for that matter as well in 1930, 1950, 1958, by only appearing in the tournament. Stadio BBVA in Guadalupe will host the clash of this round already. It's like a final in the round between the Netherlands and Morocco, no question about it. Both teams have faced, as a matter of fact, before in a context to make it to the last 16 before in 1994 in Orlando, when the Dutch limited 2-1 against the Atlas Lion in a must-win situation for both countries in what was considered basically a fake last 32 game within Group F at the time. So a lot to watch over here. Then we'll follow up on Tuesday with games that will take place in Arlington with Ivory Coast against Norway. Ivory Coast wants to push to make it to the last 16 for the very first time in history. Norway already been onto the last 16 before, as I said, in 1998, and in the top 16 in both 1938 and 1998. A very exciting game for the friends of Holland here to see how they will stand in a knockout phase stage at the level of the tournament. France will face Sweden. On paper, like Germany, France seems to be a favorite here. Sweden have had a very tough journey going through the playoff in order to make it to the finals and then pull up an exciting game against Tunisia and then one draw and of course the defeat against the Netherlands. 4 points, one of the best scores. Nothing to lose here. The second Scandinavian team after Norway to be present in this phase of the tournament. Mexico will face after that Ecuador, and an excitement about this Latin American derby in the Azteca. On paper, Mexico seems to be the favorite. Again, L3 have always made it to the last 16 round since 1994 consecutively, except in Qatar 2022. A lot of things to basically have to show down from Ecuador as well after their great game against Germany. England against the DRC. Here the Three Lions seem to be on favorites on the paper. A lot of things to expect from the DRC as well to show down that they have deserved to be at this level of the competition after a long journey here as well that went through the playoffs like how Sweden did. Belgium against Senegal, a clash in Seattle that will basically be very very tight as well. Again, here also we play with teams that have both such a potential, and the friends of Kevin De Bruyne have still a lot of things to prove in this tournament, while the Teranga Lion will try to make it to the top 16 for the second time in a row. The US will face after that in Santa Clara the side of Bosnia and Herzegovina, led by their veteran Tedin Checo, and of course the Yanks will target, of course, to get back to the last 16 as they did in Qatar. Finally, 6 more games. There is Spain against Austria. On paper, Spain seems to be the favorite here. Austria cheers after their crazy comeback against Algeria to make it finally to the second round and expect to go further to the top 16 where they have not been since 1982. And here we have also on July the 2nd another big shock between Portugal and Croatia. One of the games of this round. Literally, with Morocco, Netherlands, Portugal, and Croatia will be in Toronto, the second biggest clash of the last 32 round between two dinosaurs of the game, Cristiano Ronaldo and Luka Modric, both on their dream and quest to win the FIFA World Cup. Switzerland will face Algeria. Here also very open game between a European side and an African side. Nothing to lose for the Fox Deserts. That makes it to the second round for the second time. I want to make it to the top 16 of the tournament for the third time in the history after 92 and 2014. Australia will face Egypt at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Very open game here, and the Pharaohs are targeting to make it to the top 16 in historic participation already. Australia has some experience, have already been on the last 16 round in 2006, 2022, and also add to it being on the top 16 by qualifying into the 1974 finals. So a lot of data, a lot of numbers, everything will show to us on the pitch the reality of the status of 2026 for 32 teams remaining still in the tournament. Argentina will face Cape Verde on the last day of the round of 32 games. Here again, the friends of Messi continues their quest against a team of Cape Verde that have nothing to lose and that have made history, and they have to show it again on the pitch at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens. To conclude this round, Colombia will face Ghana, a derby between South America and Africa in Kansas City. So we look forward to following up after the excitement and the overwhelming schedule of the group stage. The last 32 round starts right now with South Africa versus Canada, and I would be looking forward to catching up furthermore with you in analyzing the games of the last 32 round, the ranking from the 17th to the 32nd spot. And of course here noticing that Canada and Mexico still have games played, games are partitioned in this round that contains 16 games. 12 are played in the United States, 2 are played in Canada, 2 are played in Mexico. The round of 16 will feature in July 6 games in the United States, and the last game in Mexico that will be played then on July the 5th at the Estadio Azteca, and the last one in Canada will be played on July the 7th at the BC Place in Vancouver. But the round of the 16 is another story, one step at a time.